I'm just waiting for the signal. I think we might be live. And friends, I can't wait to talk about seedlings. Y'all, we are like officially at the beginning of the seed starting, big seed starting, warm season. And this is 40 plants on this little tray. Hey, Jill, I must be live. Hey, flower friends. Hey, Kim. Y'all, tonight is going to be a wonderful night. I'm going to talk about seedling care and my favorite veggies. Thank you guys so much for chiming in here. All right, we got you now. All right, hey, friends. So tonight's show is going to be a good one. But first, in case you're new here, my name is Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm the owner of the Gardener's Workshop. And I've been a cut flower farmer for over 2.5 decades, and I'm on a mission now to help other people grow not just cut flowers, but even some vegetables, because we eat vegetables here too, right? And I help people by showing them what we're doing, how I'm doing it, and then offering the same tools, seeds, and supplies that I use. And of course, my books and resources to help you grow a great garden or to even start your flower farm, right? All right, so tonight's show is all about, we're talking about seedling care, how to grow them up and keep them good looking and healthy and happy. And then the newest seed set, y'all, we've put some back in stock. And then the veggies that I grow. I'm a realistic vegetable grower, y'all. And I have just cut back so much on all the different things and just ones that we really eat. And then, of course, I'll do my live Q&A at the very end. So in the comments, if you have a question, just put @Lisa and type your question, and I will gather those up at the end of the show and do my best to answer some of those. Now, you know, friends, for those of y'all in the app, the share button is right down here on the bottom. It's that little arrow in the box. And we love it when you guys share. We know that's why we get so many new people every single week. And I thank you for doing that. And we appreciate it is what I really wanted to say. Now, remember that inside the app, you need to double check when you're checking out your email address and your phone number. We need both of those pieces of information to send you shipping tickets. So please double check that they're in good order. And also, if you've joined me from social media, I'm so glad you're here. But what you need to know is that we have a free phone app. And when you're in the app, there's some special stuff, y'all. And so, I mean, there's things like you can watch replays and build a favorites list. But more importantly, you can participate in the actual show. These are all the comments of the live viewers that are carrying on back and forth. And also, we offer special shipping rates inside the app only. And those are when you order seed packets only, the shipping is on us. I pay the shipping on those. And there's a cap on product shipping of $11.95. That means it doesn't matter how many products you purchase, you just pay $11.95 once. And we do ship to all 50 of the United States. And this is in-app only. This is a special feature inside of our app that allows us to do that. So remember that. It's not available on our wait list. So friends, we frequently sell out of stuff. Y'all have stormed us the last 3 weekends on these seed sets. And so I recommend to you that if you go to a product and it says, sorry, out of stock and we've sold out, to get notified. That simply means if the team has stock over on our big website, you'll get a little ding on your phone when they bring it over, if that's even possible. And so, friends, and I see them, y'all. I love seeing all those sunflower emojis. Do y'all know what that means? That is our TGW family, who are our online course students and my members of my private flower farmer club. And I just feel the love when they're actually doing that. So thank y'all so much for doing that. So let's kick this off and look at the 2 seed sets that we have back in stock, y'all. So if you haven't met any of our seed sets yet, y'all, I gotta remember to press the buttons, y'all. All right, wait a minute. Gosh, technology. All right, so first one up. This is the seed set Defying Expectations. Y'all, this is one of my bouquet favorite color combos. Pink and green. This was always a hot color combo. This is called Defying Expectations. And what comes in it is the gorgeous Benary Giant Lime Green Zinnia, which is just pretty all the time. And this is a really cool grass if you haven't grown it. This is green drops. I always call it green drop. But I love it when it's still upright, but as it develops, it starts to drape over. It is just such a cool cut flower. I love it. And then look, this is the Benary's Giant Bright Pink. This is the stage of harvest I love to cut zinnias, before those yellow florets pop. And then look at this Sunday Bright Pink. This is like cotton candy watermelon color. It is just so pretty. And y'all, how about the draping amaranth that is lime green? This is called Green Tails, and it is really a nice addition to a bouquet, and really love that. And look, when you buy a set, there is a savings, I think, of like 5% over buying all these seeds separately. But look how they come. There's a little picture of the bouquet that I showed you, and then 5 individual packets of seeds. Now, you know, I'm always trying to think ahead because I'm the worst. Think Easter baskets and Mother's Day gifts, y'all. How sweet is that? And it's just such a favorite color. That'll be a bloomer all summer long. Then this one keeps selling out. This is our Red, White, and Bloom. Look at that. Isn't that just, I mean, y'all, we're celebrating 250 years of the United States. I mean, let's party all summer long with picnics and sharing bouquets. And look what's in this one. The Giant Red Scarlet Zinnia, which is so pretty. And then this is one of my favorite cosmos. It's the largest, most showy white bloom. Love that one. And old Blue Azuratum really gets, you know, doesn't get mentioned much. This is one of my favorites. It's a color you can't get anywhere else. Excuse me, y'all. And Miss Burns Lemon Basil. I mean, that just pushes people over the edge when they get the smell of that lemon. And then, y'all, this is the explosion of this bouquet. This is Explosion Grass. Love this stuff. And that's what this is that's coming up over the back here. And love this. This would be a great picnic sharing bouquet all summer long. And it too comes with the little picture on the front on a card. Has 5 individual seed packets. Totally think this one is very suiting for gifting and for getting started in your garden. I can't wait. Can't wait. All right. So let me see where I am. Now, y'all know that I am a big seed starter. And I prefer, actually, I better look at my notes. Y'all, I confuse myself. And so I really wanted to talk tonight about seedling care, growing them up, right? I'm going to show you how I start them, and I'm going to sow seeds. Actually, we're going to sow my pepper seeds, and I'll tell you about why they're so daggone important for the bouquet studio later this summer. And so, you know, the seed packet that we provide to you guys has everything you need. It tells you when to start, how to start it, whether to cover it with soil or not, whether to start it indoors or outdoors. And so for those that are indoors, which are most of them, you know, we don't start, I don't plant any seeds out in my garden, sow seeds out in the garden in spring and summer at all. It's far more work. You have to fight the weeds and keep them back. And so we start almost exclusively in soil blocks. So this is the soil blocker. And I have a tray with my seeds on it. And we're gonna actually do this together tonight. So soil blocks, which I've shown you here. So this is a tray of 20 little blocks, like what I'm getting ready to make. This is ornamental eggplant. This is pumpkin on a stick. And these are demos. It's a little early for them if you don't want them till the end of summer, right? But this is 20 plants on that little 5-inch tray. And that's what we're gonna do tonight to start these peppers that I wanna grow. So 2 hands on the stationary bar, and you just push it down in the mix that you've already moistened. Soil blocking mix is the absolute opposite of regular seed starting mix. Regular mix is made to be light and fluffy. Blocking mix is made to be dense because the soil block is the container, y'all. So I'm placing it on the tray, which has no drainage holes and it's flat, and I squeeze it, and just look how quick that was, y'all. We just made 20 little containers, right? And let me, oh, I do have a seed. Let me get my seeds and let's sow some seeds. All right, let me get my tray. And so we're gonna sow pepper seeds, and let's read the pack. It says, sow seed a 1/4 inch deep and cover with soil. So that's what we're gonna do here. All right, so this is an aluminum seed pan, which has no static electricity in it, y'all, and you just don't know how much you're fighting electricity. And these are pepper seeds. And so these pepper seeds, which I'll show you what they look like in a minute here, are sweet Italian long peppers. So you can see they're a pretty big seed, but the seed packet says to cover the seed with soil. And the way you do that with the soil block is you just simply push the seed down deeper into the block. Now, I do bump tomatoes and peppers and eggplants up to the 2-inch block, and to get a larger transplant to go to the garden that's more mature. It's one of the only things, the only flower I technically do that with is eucalyptus, which I think we've done some of that here. So I'm just grabbing a seed, turning it up on its side, and just pushing that little disc right down into the block. Tipping it up. I could do this all day, y'all. I love doing this. So I'm just tipping it up on its side and then driving him home. And you just want to put him in deep enough that you don't really see it anymore. I really need to wet my toothpick again, y'all, and it's got dirt on it. So my secret is out. I eat dirt. Tip it up and just push it in. I did tomatoes earlier, and it's funny, I can tell that these pepper seeds are much heavier than the tomato seeds were just from picking them up and messing with them. So I'm just continuing to push them in. Now, this is what you do when it says cover. I can't hardly talk and do this at the same time, y'all. Cover with whatever the instructions tell you to do. What if it was a surface sown? What if it says do not cover? That means you firmly seat the seed on the surface. That doesn't mean you sprinkle them. It means you pick up one seed and you firmly just push it down into the soil without covering it. You're just making sure that the seed has really good contact with the soil, because that's where it's going to get its moisture from, its warmth from, everything that it needs. So you just have to, yes, just one seed on each block. Gosh, y'all, if you like to cross stitch or anything like that, this is like such a fulfillment thing. This is what got me into flower farming, you know? I mean, it's like once I started seeds with soil block, my first seeds I ever started were snapdragons. I was an overnight success after failing dreadfully with every other kind of kit I could find. Anyway, I couldn't stop starting seeds. It was just like I wanted to do it again and again. It's like being on a swing and telling your daddy, push me higher. Same thing, y'all. Isn't that funny? Last one. Pushing them in. All right. Now, done. I knew that if I didn't finish that job, if I like just did part of the tray and say, oh, I'll do it later, I'd never get back to it. So we just sowed 20 pepper seeds on this little tray. And the next, let's talk about the rest of the story as it's gonna actually fall out here. So let's see where I'm going here. I don't need that. Let's bring these things over. So particularly for those seeds, what did I just do with it? You can purchase these little seed pans individually. We do have them. I just brought them up. No static electricity, y'all. Changed my world because, you know, we plant tons of celosias, snaps, all those little tiny seeds. Works great. It's no static electricity. And so I just brought they're $1.95, I think. Totally love those. Then another super important step that's as important as, you know, starting your seeds, and that is, y'all, particularly for warm season tender annuals, it is a seedling heat mat. You know, most seeds germinate best at 75 to 85 degrees, and I'm talking soil temperature. If your house is 70 degrees, that soil is typically 15 to 20 degrees cooler than the air temperature. If your house is 70, your soil is 50 to 55 degrees, and that's why most seeds will never germinate. Seedling heat mat has a built-in thermostat. You plug it in, and this heat mat heats up 15 to 20 degrees warmer than the air temperature, right? You place the you place the trays right on the seed heat mat this time of the year, and you're gonna leave them on the seedling heat mat until you see approximately 50% of the seeds showing signs of life. That can mean cracking, you see a little sprout, all of that counts as sprouting, right? And when you see that, 50% or so, you take them off the heat and move them over to a grow light. So they aren't on a heat mat and under a grow light at the same time, right? So let me see where I am, y'all. I've already screwed up, I am sure here. Wait a minute. All right, I'm on the heat mat. Good girl. All right, so cold soil will not sprout seeds, y'all. That is a fact. Now, for those surface sown seeds I was mentioning, we use wide weave burlap. So you sow the seeds on the surface, say, of your blocks, and to help trap the moisture, to keep that seed moist on top, we use wide weave burlap. It comes in a 3 foot by 3 foot piece. You can cut it down to fit your tray, or you can leave it big. It traps moisture, but it allows air circulation to get in there. It's like $3.95 for one, and I think there's a 3-pack price. But the heat mat, you use this on the heat mat. So you put the seedling on the seeds on the heat mat. My hand's the heat mat. And then you just simply lay the burlap on top. And in the morning when I come out to water, I just pull the burlap back, do my watering chores, and put it back on. I keep it on until I see seeds actually starting to crack, okay? So that is the burlap. And I want to show you how I water my seedlings. It's a really common question that we get. Let's see, I water, let's see if we can get this didiscus. These are 40 didiscus plants on this little tray. And I absolutely love this espresso watering can. I'm giving one to my sister for Mother's Day. She loves this thing. She uses it all the time here for bouquets, so I'm gonna give her one. And this holds 2 cups of water. It's stainless steel, and it is awesome for watering soil blocks, but it also, you know what she does with it? She uses it for bouquets all the time, y'all. And so the thing with watering, when you have seedlings, is you pour with a gentle pour up against the side of the tray. You don't wash the blocks with it. And so I always tend to put a little bit more than I think the seedlings need, and then I'll water all my seedlings, take a couple of minutes, then I go back to the first tray, and if there's any water standing in the tray, I dump it off. If there isn't any water in the tray, I think, did I put enough? maybe the center's not even wet yet. The outside of the block might look wet, but I wonder if the middle is. I'll put a little smidge more, and then I'll mess around for a couple of minutes and look again, and then I will, let's pour this. I got too much left here. And I just simply dump it off into another tray, because you never leave water standing in a tray. Never leave blocks standing in water. So this is the espresso watering can. And this is a really cool one, y'all. This looks really cool just sitting out with your houseplants. And I'm super excited because I've gotten one now too. I actually have 4 new houseplants, y'all. I don't have any houseplants. I do now. And guess who's coming in? One of these little espressos. So how you water really makes a big difference. And if anybody has ever started seeds indoors, or maybe just had houseplants, you may already be very familiar with fungus gnats. Fungus gnats are those little tiny gnats that get into your houseplants, get into your seeds, starting whether it's trays or whatever it is you're starting in soil, right? And so the key to fungus gnats is to prevent them from ever having an outbreak. And these are the mosquito bits that have a BT in them that kills, it's labeled right up here for fungus gnats. It's 4 tablespoons to a gallon, or you can prorate it to whatever amount of water. And I do this on Wednesdays. This eliminates any developing larvae that are in your wet soil, okay? So I do this on Wednesdays, every Wednesday. And then how do those babies get there? It's because adult fungus gnats lay their eggs on the soil. And that's when we use these yellow sticky traps. I mean, you can hang them, you can lay them down in different spots. The gnats are attracted to the yellow color. And then once you get both of these going, you prevent or eliminate, and it takes several weeks. Once you have an outbreak, it is very difficult. This is a sticky trap from an outbreak that we had here several years ago. Look at all those fungus gnats on there, along with a couple of flies. But those were what were laying the eggs in the soil. So you can buy these separately, but we also have a set where you can buy them together, and there's a little bit of savings. The key is you want to prevent, you don't wait till you have fungus gnats to start doing something. You want to prevent them from coming into your garden. Now, we have 2 different types of liquid fertilizer. And so the one that I have used for decades, absolutely love it. It is, I'm doing them backwards. This is Neptune's Harvest. I've used it for a long time. I use it in my seedling grow room. I use it out in the garden for foliar feeding and soil drenching. But it stinks, y'all. And that's a problem for a lot of people. I mean, I have a building that I'm in. It's not in my home. This works fabulous, and I absolutely love it. I love using it out in the garden, too. So that's Neptune Seaweed Fish. The instructions are right on the bottle. It's 1 tablespoon to a gallon, so this goes a really long way. It is $18.95, I believe. And we do this once a week. This happens on Mondays. Now, if you're doing this in your home and the stinkiness is just, they're threatening to throw you to the curb, that's why we now have offered FOOP. FOOP is fish poop. It's fish manure with peppermint in it, y'all. And I'm telling you, when you smell it, it smells like peppermint. Honestly, it's really good and strong. So you can do this a couple of different ways. You can do this once a week like we do at the Neptune's Harvest, but they also have a daily dose, the light dose, where every day when you water it, you can add it in. It's really up to you. I do recommend that you only mix enough to use for that day. You don't want this to sit, right? So this is FOOP. And this is bigger. This is 32 ounces, and it's going to go a really long way. This one is $24.99, and we just absolutely love the fact that we now have a non-stinky, organic, great fertilizer that actually smells kind of good. So those are what keep my seedlings short, stocky, happy, healthy, and dark green, right? So the other part of seedling care is I love using our compost tea bags. These look just like, I had one of these. I don't know what I did with it. It looks just like a Lipton tea bag, but much fatter and bigger. And you drop it in your watering can the night before and let it steep overnight. And it just has so much biology in it. You get 12 in this pack, and it is, I think it's $18.95. And definitely use the compost in the tea bag. Put it in your containers or in your soil mix or whatever. But this just restores some of the biology. This does not replace fertilization. I typically will try to do this every other Friday. If I could remember to do it every week, I would. But the compost tea bags are a really big hit for us. We love just being able to have that. I mean, we always wanted to make compost tea in small doses, and there you go, y'all. That's it. All right, so what's the next step after you've gotten them made, your blocks made, you're getting them to sprout, you're taking them off the heat, and my friends, the next step that people struggle with is not having a grow light. And so this is a really simple, small, let's see if my cord will let me bring it over a little bit further there. Actually, why don't I just move my camera? There it is, 24 by literally about 8 inches. You can put a lot, especially with soil blocks, you can put a lot of seedlings underneath here. 4 of these trays of 60, that's 240 plants, y'all. Super simple. Look at that, I wanted to just hold it up. You know, you can get as elaborate or as simple as you want. Look how simple this is. I mean, it doesn't take up much space. You can stow it away. Love it. And we also, sorry, let me just push that out of the way. I have my grow lights on 16 to 18 hours a day. That's why our seedlings stay short and stocky. And so that's the step when you take them off the seedling heat mat and you move them to a grow light. I mean, there's not even 16 to 18 hours of natural light, right? Outside, available. And when you set seedlings on windowsills and those kinds of things, the plants stretch and they get yellow because they're stretching and looking for light. That's why a grow light keeps them short and stocky and healthy, okay? And we even have the timer to turn them on and off. My whole grow room is on a big timer, y'all. Comes on at 6 o'clock in the morning and goes off at 10 o'clock at night. So it just makes it so you don't forget. If you forget to turn your lights on and you don't remember until 9 o'clock in the morning, I will tell you that your plants would have already been stretching, looking for light just in 3 hours. So a timer really helps us to be better caretakers of our seedlings. Now, if you want more information on growing, seed starting, and growing your seedlings up, in the Cut Flower Handbook, I cover that, as well as in-depth information on every individual flower. There's a seed starting and just all the tips and tricks that I have. Every question that you could have about growing cut flowers is answered in this book. And when you purchase it from us, we also provide the 6 additional flowers that we couldn't fit in the book, y'all. They could not squeeze them in. 5 of these are cool and 1 is warm. And the Cut Flower Handbook will just be that information source. It's a pretty powerful resource. Would love to sign one of those for you. And then if you have anybody that's a vegetable grower and they just don't quite understand why they should actually give up a little space to flowers, that's what this book is really all about. It's not about how to grow vegetables. It's about why vegetables want to grow in the presence of flowers. And it's because of the company that flowers keep, y'all. This is a great jump starter book for somebody that wants to have a little cutting garden. It takes you through all the steps, everything, setting it up, planting it, what to plant, how to cut it, when to cut it. But this book also has my natural gardening philosophy in it, is what a lot of it is about. And would love it to sign one for you. This book also comes with a bonus. It comes with a video book study. And so Vegetables Love Flowers is particularly useful if somebody just doesn't understand how flowers would benefit their garden. It's really not about companion, like in it's going to prevent a disease or a particular bug. It's the environment that flowers bring into the garden, and it's pretty powerful, y'all. All right, so speaking of vegetables, let's talk a little bit about that. So if you have not seen our vegetable planner, let me click on it. So this is a slide rule. The red line is your frost date. You move it to your proper date. It tells you everything, y'all. When to start your tomato seeds, most importantly, it tells you when to start everything for spring. Then on the fall side, it tells you like the last date you could plant stuff. I learned from this that I could plant tomatoes up until July 15th. That's how you have great harvest in late fall. This is $6.95, and it has got so much. Take 10 minutes and read all the instructions. You will not believe what is packed onto this little slide rule. It is pretty deep. Now let's look at my favorite veggies. So as I mentioned earlier, I think I have grown so many vegetables for so long, and I have finally realized we really just love eating a few. So that's all we grow now. And these are them. So if you have not eaten sun gold tomatoes, you haven't lived yet in the tomato world, y'all. These are like little sugar drops. They are so prolific, but we still never have enough. We use them for snacks. We just love these guys. Sun gold is a little yellow sugar bomb. If you're trying to get kids to eat tomatoes, that's the tomato you need to grow. This is my go-to big tomato. This is big beef, y'all. It does everything. It's a slicer, it's an eater, it's for sandwiches, it's for canning, it's for whatever you want to do. It's disease resistant, and it's the one that has pulled us through every single year. I've grown all the heirlooms. They're all wonderful. But in the big picture, we just love big beef. And then we also love growing the paste tomato, San Marzano, because this one is really good if you want to make salsas or sauces, because it's not got quite so much juice, and it also is pretty fabulous for grilling and for making salsa. I did say that, didn't I? Love that one. And then if you want to know Tucker's favorite for cucumbers, it is Market More, y'all. We love Market More cucumbers. We have to fight Tucker for them, but they are just so delicious. Can y'all believe we're talking about starting vegetables? I can't. Now, this is the Green Machine zucchini. Love this. Now, I don't know if y'all know about the zucchini crab cakes. You substitute shredded zucchini that's been really dried for the crab meat, and it's absolutely delicious, y'all. Put that into a search engine and find that recipe. Now I'm going to tell you why I was starting those pepper plants. This is the Carmen pepper. These are about 7 inches long. And we are growing them because Suzanne is going to be doing a flower arrangement using the peppers as the container, y'all. We saw it online, and we are going to do it. I can't wait to do it. And these are super delicious. These are sweet peppers, and they're pretty big, so we absolutely love them. And then here's the standard bell peppers. They're green first, and if you leave them on the plant, they'll turn red. Very, very, very productive. This is Olympus. We love her. And then, of course, what would it be without peppers if we didn't talk about our rooster pepper? This is our exclusive pepper that is actually selected for cut flowers. Notice that all the foliage is down below the fruit, which means it's super easy to strip that off, use it in fresh bouquets, wreath making. This is better known as, around here, the cash cow. I mean, you just can't believe how many uses and how in demand they really are. Now, the other veggies love this gourmet mix leaf lettuce. This is just the best, y'all. Once you grow your own leaf lettuce, you will never be able to go back to store-bought. This one is really great. Love it. Love it. It's mixed. And then my very favorite kale is the Black Magic. Look at that. You can make kale chips. These are so cool, y'all. But they are just delicious. And as babies, we put them actually in lettuce mix. All right, so let's look at, because I grow all that lettuce in containers. And so that led me to create the container protection kit. Y'all, this wooden table keeps biting my shirt. All right, so this is what we're talking about. You know, I grow in containers about a half whiskey barrel. Think about that. Cut in half is about the size. And this is what I'm going to show you how I do this. Why do I do this? Have you planted a container before and you come out the next morning and all the plants are on the floor? Where a squirrel or a bird has just destroyed your container? That happens here a lot. So, the container, big. We use these grow-through grids. We put these legs on, and you just push it on the container. This is strictly to just suspend the insect netting. It doesn't have to be the same size as your container. It just needs to be a little taller than your plants that you planted. You install this. Then we drape the insect netting, which when used in a single layer allows enough light to get through. And I have even been known to water through this, y'all. It allows the water to get through. You drape this over, you plant your container, you install the grow-through grid, you drape this over in a way that allows it to come down over the container. And then we love this stuff, y'all. This is the Flexi tie. This is stretchy string that you tie around the container like a belt and tie it in a bow. What I love about this stuff is it holds a bloomin' knot, y'all. It is so useful. So you get all of this stuff to protect your container. And how much is it? $21.95. You can buy all this stuff separately. But for container protection, we're getting ready. As soon as our cool flowers, which are now established, they were planted last fall. Once we pull them out and we put warm in, these guys, all of them, I have enough for every one of our containers out there. All right, my friends, it's time for us to wrap it up. Can you believe it's spring? I cannot believe it's spring. It's like wide open all of a sudden here. So, you know, in just a couple minutes, I'm going to do a Q&A. So if you have a question, please put @Lisa in the comments and type your question, and I'll gather those up. Remember that those special shipping rates that I told you are only available here in the app. And remember that over on my website, we have so many resources, y'all. Videos, blogs, connect with our podcast, both Seed Talk, which if you want a warm season checklist, it's episode number 85 on Seed Talk, and Field and Garden. You know, there's seed starting Saturdays over there that you can listen to. And friends, remember to join us on Friday for the big show. Suzanne has a great bouquet studio little thing she's going to do this week. 12 noon on Fridays, we do a giveaway. And remember to join me back here every Wednesday at 8, as well as, you know, I do pop-up shows. And if you want to be notified of that, I don't know why my screen has frozen. I don't know if it's frozen for you guys. Nope, it looks like it's still going. Sorry, my phone froze. I thought I was like lost in time there. All right, so let's see what questions we have here. And it's not going to let me. All right, let me go over here to look for questions. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Stand by, y'all. All right, so it's up there. All right, so I'm looking for my questions now. Sometimes I have the worst time getting to view them. Oh, thanks, Kim. Pink, when you get to be gray like I am, blue and pink, colors I never wore before in my life, are definitely for me. Thank you. Lisa, could you give me a list of succession plants names just in case I forget to plant it the first time? I don't think I understand your question, Tina. Could you give me a list of succession plants names just in case I forget to plant in the first time? So Tina, no, I don't understand what your question is, but you know, the Cut Flower Handbook or even the calendar, both of which I think you have, should actually provide you with that, I think. Yellowing leaves on Snapdragon, 2-inch seedlings. How do you prevent? Love the burlap. Oh, thank you, Cynthia. So usually yellowing can be a nutrition thing. Which kind of soil did you start them in? But a lot of times it's overwatering and not warm enough temperatures. So you want to be sure that when you go to water in the morning that the blocks are dry. They need the oxygen overnight as much as they need that water. So that's what I would check. What was your soil mix and your nutrition level, and could it possibly be overwatering, and maybe bump the air temperature up a few degrees to warm it up, which stimulates growth, which starts the whole process. Christina, can you provide any tips for laying down the biodegradable material on the beds? So Christina, there are videos on both the products here on the here in the app, I believe. But over on the website, if you go to the biodegradable in the store, there's a video there. But here is, first off, it's a learning curve. It's so worth figuring out though. Your beds should be raised. They should be raised about 3 to 4 inches at least. The tops should be fairly not lumpy. You don't want to have big chunks of stuff. You want it to be not a super fine bed, but a well-prepared bed. And it should be fairly flat, just barely depressioned in the middle. And that's just for watering. That's not for installing the bio. And you lay it down. I use our weights that we use for row cover and silage tarps. I unfold it and put it on one end and put 2 weights at the end. Then I go to the other end of the bed, pull it out and put the weights. It's just like making a bed, right? It should be even and straight. And then I use our hand hoe to cover the edge. And that video will actually show you that. You don't want to try to stretch it, but you want it to be flat without a lot of wrinkles. I do it by myself. I've done it on 100-foot beds by myself after I was experienced. Keep it low to the ground so the wind doesn't catch it. That's another big problem. People stand up and pull it up high. Well, the wind catches it and it's a sail. You have to keep it low to the ground. So those would be my tips, and thanks for asking. I love that stuff. Hello, everybody. Somebody's in their flower patch. Hello, New Zealand. Yeah, Corinna, I love the card. Those seed sets are Jessie's brainchild. She's quite creative, and it's really feeding her inner child of making these, and she is doing such a great job. They sell out so fast. It's just amazing. How do you keep the soil blocks from falling apart when you water on the side? So, Robin, it's about what are you using for soil blocking mix. And again, I don't know if I said it here or over earlier somewhere else. I prefer peat moss over cocoa fiber for that very reason. But when you water, and let's just water, although these blocks don't really need to be watered, you can probably see, the reason you want a gentle pour is that you're not doing a stream of water that's washing your blocks. You know, it's a gentle pour, and I'm pouring it up against the side of the tray. And it just doesn't really happen. And so the blocking mix and overwatering, and then don't be moving the tray back and forth. Let the water absorb. And then when you go to tilt it, if you have excess water left, go slow. It's the fast stream. But we just don't really have a problem with our blocks breaking down. And there are videos over on my website under resources. There's a soil blocking page, has a lot of different videos, watering. Maybe that would help it. It shows better and talks about it. Can you talk about growing the bouquets? Can you start them inside and grow them in the same bed? So if you're talking about the seed set, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's only 5 packs of seeds. And you don't necessarily plant them all. But yes, you could do that in a 3x5 or a 3x10 cutting garden. And so they're all warm season. You need to know when your planting date is, when you can plant them, and then count back. It tells you how many weeks in advance on the seed packet to start before you want to plant them, and figure it out. But oh yeah, you can grow them all in the same bed for sure. Lisa, how do you keep the biodegradable mulch from moving around when you're planting? So that is really, and I'm telling you, it's just really a learning curve. Once you learn installing it, so let's just imagine that these are the sides of the bed and here's the top of the bed. You're laying the film down, it goes down the sides, and then a couple inches should lay flat on what you would think the pathway is. And if you were looking down on top of a 10-foot bed, that you're gonna scrape soil. Go watch the video on the product and the website. I'm not sure if it's here in the app. You scrape soil or mulch over the entire edge of that film. If you were looking down at it, it would look like a picture frame around it. And that's securing the biodegradable film. I like putting soil over it more than, unless you have really heavy mulch. Mulch doesn't seal it like soil does, like you see me do in the videos. And then that should secure it in place. And, it took me I laid it by hand for 4 or 5 years before I got a tractor doing it. So, and we were doing multiple 100-foot beds, constantly. So practice makes perfect. And you just have to imagine, it's just like making a bed, but instead of your sheet going across the top, down the sides, and tucked under, you tuck it out onto the pathway, and that's why you scrape soil up onto it. But you need to have, that needs to be sealed all the way around it. Yeah, I eat dirt all the time. Lisa, how can I get my seedlings to grow more bushier before they are hardened off? The soil, the food, the warmth, and the grow light. It's the environment, and you just have to tweak it to figure out what is missing from yours potentially. And overwatering is a major issue in puny seedlings, I will say. Needlepoint relaxing, exactly. Lisa, do you sell this green soil blocker potting tray? The tray you saw me working in, I do not. Kitty litter boxes work well. You can find that potting tray. In fact, I think you can maybe find it at Home Depot online. Check it out. It's cheap. And a cement mixing tray, thank you, works well too. How often do you water your blocks? First thing every morning. And they should be dry. And if they're not dry, you need to tweak your environment that it is drying them out overnight. It's usually air temperature. It's so cute how gently you have to be with their really little babies. She waters once a day. Lisa doesn't sell it. I found one on Gardener's Supply. I wanted to buy the spiral-bound cut flower book, but it's sold out. Does anyone know if the hardback cover will lay flat? Not as flat, and there will be spiral bounds are in process. So they're at the binder, so they're coming. And I used mine flat, my regular binding, for a long time before I got a spiral bound, right? It's just a matter of convenience, right? So, Sarah, we were waiting. The publisher sold out of my book. Takes 90 days for them to get a restock. So they were way back when, but now we have them. We had them, and they're at the spiral bound. So however long, and that usually doesn't take too long. Lisa, I put my seedlings closer to the light than you appear to be in the videos. What do you recommend? It depends on the light you're using. This is a T5 light bulb that can get warm, which I prefer. But if you're really close to it, it's hot. So this is not an adjustable light because it broadcasts a wider light band. So it depends on your type of light. LEDs, I don't think it matters because they don't produce any warmth, which is why I prefer not to use them. So it just depends. The slide rule is the best, second best, because the new calendar is the bomb. Thank you, Kim. I totally agree with that. After bumping up eucalyptus to 2-inch blocks, how often do you water? Everything gets watered every morning. And especially like now that we're all warm in the grow room, I'm keeping the door shut. It's sunny outside. Those boogers are dry when I come out in the morning. Lisa, Just first, I must thank you for being you and sharing your knowledge and passion to us all. Question, can we reuse soil blocks that didn't germinate? Yes. I throw it back in the soil blocking soil bin. They get smushed up and then remade, not reused as that soil block, but oh yeah. Is that GMO if it's resistant? No, GMO seeds aren't really even available on the open gardening market, y'all. That is just really such a thing. And so we don't sell any they don't GMO flour and home gardener type vegetables. That is more of big farmer stuff, right? But it's definitely a marketing ploy. How long do you leave your container covered? So like until the plants are established, like when we plant out after April into a container, I'll probably keep it covered for 2 or 3 weeks for the plants to get well rooted in and to get established and big enough that the squirrels just don't ravage them, right? So it depends on how aggressive your squirrels are. Thank you for talking about peppers and lettuce. I don't know how I found you a few years ago. Flowers aren't my thing, but I love your passion for them. Thank you, Kim. Can you talk about growing the red, white, and blue bouquet? Start seeds inside, yes. Plant together or separate. So that really depends on your style. I see most home gardeners that they grow not in rows like I do. They'll grow, like kidney bean shapes of the same spacing and stuff. It's just a little bit different, or in rows. But yes, you would plant those all. You could start them and plant them all. And particularly the red, white, and blue, you need to get that grass started because it takes a little longer. But they're all branching or reblooming. So yeah, get them started and get them planted. Is there anything else besides the landscape fabric and biodegradable film for weeds? Well, we don't use landscape fabric. That's a whole discussion in itself. But just regular organic mulch, chips, bark, pine straw, shredded leaves, but it has to be very deep to provide the same light blocking that the biodegradable film does. How do you get rid of fungus gnats again? Well, I think we went through that. The fungus gnat fighting kit will fix you up. Very curious about arrangements. I use Numis Easter ornamental peppers. They add so much to my bouquets. Yeah, Lisa, I've grown them. There's so many pretty peppers. But when you become a production farmer like I am, the way that the fruit is distributed is just far too labor intensive. The rooster peppers are all at the top, so it's it's no different than stripping a celosia pretty much. So yeah, what you're talking about, they're beautiful too. The rubber band size we use for bouquets is 32s. How many sunflowers would you suggest starting weekly? I planted 275 cells of white light in hopes to have for Mom's Day. It depends on what you're doing. How many flowers do you need a week? I would grow 20 to 50% more than you need for your need just for wiggle room. But we plant every single week. I have removed the row cover. Do you place the insect netting over immediately or wait until it starts to heat up and undesirable insects start to show up? We really use the there are things that you can use it for insects, but we use it for varmints. Squirrels and rabbits are highly damaging around here. So if it's warming up and I have to take the row cover off, I'll put the insect netting is on my Joe beds out back right now on our stock and Sweet William and all that stuff because they need to be protected from the squirrels, but I don't want them to get hot. So yeah, if it's hot, you use insect netting. If it's cold to cool, you can use row cover to protect from any kind of varmint. I have a red worm compost started. Now has gnats. Can I make soil blocks with the compost now? Will gnat killer hurt the worms? So I've never thought about treating compost with gnat control. I would say that if you're going to use some of that to do soil blocking with, that you should water your compost, like a little small bin of it or something, with the mosquito bits to kill the larvae in it before you actually use it because that is a real mess. I don't know that I would do that, but yes, I can treat it. You can treat it before you use them. Why would my eucalyptus grow to 6 inches in 4-inch pots and then die? I'm bummed. Usually overwatering, are too old. I mean, we start them 12 to 16 weeks in advance and grow them in the 2-inch block, and they do fabulous. But poor drainage, soil choice, all of that makes a really big difference. And because they do not like to be wet and they're heat lovers, they need it hot. No, I don't use vermiculite with moisture retention. I found the green trays. Oh, good. Lisa, have you tried the snail method for seed raising? No. It's time for planting celosia in Texas. It's all about your frost dates, y'all. You have to, first off, I would highly recommend my seed starting and planting guide that comes on the big calendar. The big calendar is kind of what you write on, but it's my guide of figuring out all of that based on your frost dates. It's your custom growing plan that you create. And so that's how you know when to actually plant. It's all about your frost dates. All right, my friends, we are going to wrap it up. And so love that y'all are helping each other and answering questions. Thanks for joining me tonight. Remember to join us on Friday for the big show. Suzanne's Bouquet Studio is going to be cuter than a button, y'all. And we're just going to have a lot of fun. And I'm talking about succession planting. So whoever it was that had a question about succession planting, maybe you'll get it answered on Friday in the big Friday shopping show. All right, my friends, today's my anniversary, so I'm going in to eat with my man. Thank you for joining me, and I know I'll see you back here before too long.